I still remember my first day working at Moe's Southwest Grill. It was supposed to be a dream job, a chance to serve up delicious Tex-Mex cuisine in a prestigious restaurant, but I quickly realized that there was something deeply unsettling about the place. From the moment I walked through the restaurant's heavy wooden doors, I felt a sense of impending doom hanging in the air. The ambiance was strange, almost eerie. The dimly lit dining area was adorned with rustic Mexican decor, from the colorful sombreros hanging on the walls to the eerie mariachi music playing softly in the background. It was as if the restaurant itself had absorbed the spirits of countless diners who had come and gone. I was greeted by my manager, Mr. Higgins, a tall, gaunt man with sunken eyes and a perpetually dour expression. He gave me a quick tour of the kitchen and the dining area, introducing me to the rest of the staff, all of whom had the same haunted look in their eyes. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong at Moe's. The customers, usually jovial and eager to indulge in our delectable dishes, seemed oddly subdued. They whispered in hushed tones and exchanged furtive glances, their faces etched with worry. It wasn't long before I began to notice other peculiarities. The restaurant's menu, which was once brimming with a wide array of mouth-watering dishes, had dwindled to a few basic items. The ingredients, too, seemed to have grown increasingly scarce. Fresh produce arrived infrequently, and the meat we served had an unsettling, almost metallic taste. One evening, as I was bussing a table, I overheard a group of regulars talking in hushed tones. They spoke of a dark secret that Moe's held, something that had driven away the once thriving crowds. I couldn't help but eavesdrop, my curiosity overwhelming me. "It's the food," one of them said, her voice trembling. "Something's wrong with the food. It's like it's feeding on us." The others nodded in agreement, their faces pale with fear. I wanted to ask them more, to pry the truth from them, but I couldn't summon the courage. The fear that had settled over Moe's was contagious, and I found myself becoming more and more paranoid with each passing day. As the weeks turned into months, I began to piece together the puzzle. The restaurant's owners as a reclusive and enigmatic couple known only as Mr. and Mrs. Sanchez seemed to hold an unnatural sway over Moe's. They rarely made public appearances, and when they did, it was always in the dead of night, their faces hidden beneath heavy shawls. One night, I stayed late to finish some closing duties. The restaurant was empty, and the only sound was the eerie hum of the fluorescent lights. I ventured into the kitchen, my footsteps echoing in the empty space. That's when I stumbled upon something that sent shivers down my spine. In the dimly lit corner of the kitchen, hidden beneath a tarp, was a large, ominous machine. Its purpose was a mystery to me, but it emitted a low, ominous hum. I couldn't resist the urge to investigate further, so I carefully removed the tarp. What I saw was beyond anything I could have imagined. The machine was a grotesque contraption. Tubes and wires snaked out from its pulsating core, connecting to the walls and ceiling. And at its heart was a dark, writhing mass that seemed to be alive. I stumbled back in horror, my heart pounding in my chest. This was the source of the strange, metallic taste in the food, the reason why Moe's had become a place of dread. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The restaurant was feeding off its customers, draining their life force to sustain itself. I knew I had to escape and expose the truth, but I was trapped. The doors and windows were locked, and the ominous hum of the machine seemed to grow louder, drowning out all other sound. I was a prisoner in this nightmare, a helpless witness to the restaurant's sinister secret. Days turned into weeks, and my sanity began to unravel. The once familiar faces of my coworkers became twisted and grotesque, their eyes vacant and lifeless. The customers who still ventured into Moe's were mere husks of their former selves, their movements sluggish and robotic. One night, as I cowered in a dark corner of the kitchen, I saw Mr. Higgins enter the room. He was no longer the stern manager I had met on my first day. His eyes were glazed over, and his movements were jerky and unnatural. He approached the machine, his hands trembling as he fed it a plate of leftovers. The machine seemed to come alive, its dark mass pulsating with renewed vigor. I watched in horror as Mr. Higgins turned to face me, his vacant eyes locking onto mine. "Join us," he whispered, his voice a chilling monotone. "Join us in eternal servitude." I couldn't take it any longer. With a burst of adrenaline, I made a run for it, pushing past the grotesque figures in the kitchen and sprinting toward the restaurant's exit. The doors swung open with a deafening creak, and I stumbled out into the cold night air, gasping for breath. I never looked back. I reported the horrifying truth about Moe's Southwest Grill to the authorities, but by the time they arrived, the restaurant had vanished without a trace. The building that had once housed the nightmarish machine was now an empty, decrepit shell. To this day, I can't erase the memories of my time at Moe's. The haunting ambiance, ending doom, and the sinister secret that lurked beneath it all still haunt my nightmares. And I can't help but wonder if there are other places like Moe's, hidden in the shadows, feeding off the unsuspecting souls who dare to enter.